What's going on, everyone? It's Adam and Craig with Grandstand Golf. This is our PGA DFS picks for the 2021 Masters. Before we head over to Augusta, Craig, taking a quick look at the Valero Texas Open recap. 4 of 6 made cuts. Your picks did a lot better than mine last week. We almost had our fourth
Well,
winner
I would say
in 5 weeks.
maybe outside of Tony Finau.
Yeah, outside of Tony Finau, your picks did pretty good. But we almost had our fourth winner in 5 weeks with Charlie Hoffman in second place finish. Great call there. 3 top 20s to kind of back that up. But we almost had that winner. We'll get it this week. Again, calling out to subscribers. We want to get to 1,000 for the Masters. Please help us get there. If you are already a subscriber, what can you do to help? You hit that thumbs up button. Grandstand Golf, at Grandstand Golf on Twitter. Follow us there. Like and support us there. Retweets and likes really do mean a lot. And you haven't subscribed
and just,
yet?
in addition to that, share it with anyone you think might enjoy this type of content.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Craig, heading into the Masters, we have some huge contests on DFS. If you're a casual DFS player, you play some NFL, you play some NBA, you're getting to the golf for the Masters. I get it. The Masters is going to be great. So here's kind of a quick how to be a little bit different. DFS differentiators, how to be one in 473,000. That's how big the contest
size is. Honestly, I think you're the perfect person to talk about this because you've never been afraid to be different all your life.
I'm always different. 473,000 entries is what we have for that $10 Millionaire Maker on DraftKings. So how do you kind of be a little bit different from the crowd? These are kind of 3 steps I think will really help you. So leave salary on the table. Unlike NBA or NFL where salary kind of translates to minutes or to touches or to things like that, every golfer plays either 36 holes or 72 holes. Some golfers have a better, lifetime or recent history than others, so they're priced up. Yeah. But otherwise, they all have the same opportunity to get birdies and to place well. So leaving salary on the table when you think you want to, max out your $10 entry, you want to have the best salary, take a step back. Can I be different while maxing out the salary?
Yeah, for sure. It opens up because so many people end up right at the limit. I forget the actual percentages, but so many percentages or so many entries are either right on the salary cap or they leave 100 on the board. So as soon as you start to get to 2, even like 3 or 4, you're almost guaranteed to be different. But definitely a good point there.
Number 2, fade some chalk. So you can play Spieth. You can even play Spieth and Connors, who looks to be chalky this week, with Rahm, with DJ, whatever you want to do, but you can't.
And just real quick, because we do have some people, sometimes we get asked this, chalk is essentially people who are going to be very highly owned. So like a Jordan Spieth coming off a win last week at a fairly decent price at the Masters where he has a good history, he's going to be very highly owned. So that's what Adam means by chalk.
Yeah, and I don't think you need to pay into, an ownership site or to get these projections for these golfers. You know what the chatter's out there. People are talking about Rahm. People are talking about Spieth. You can see people are talking about Connors for a sleeper. So don't throw all of them into the same lineup. Be a little bit different. Look for that, sleeper that people aren't looking or that guy up top that maybe people are overlooking.
Yep.
And that kind of leads to number 3, independent research. All the stats that you find here, we double, triple check. Make sure when you're looking at other people's, you double check their research or the stats as well, their research as well, and do research on your own. Player interviews are a great source to see how people are, if they're confident coming into the Masters, that kind of thing. Make sure you do your independent research. That way you will be unique.
Yeah, and whether it's our content or other people's content, that's just one person's opinion. So don't just blindly follow someone and plug in their plays. Just come up with your own plays, and it's going to be a lot more satisfying than if you win. So you'll hear a lot of different picks. Choose whichever ones you want, and good luck to you. But just on that note, sort of real quick, our picks this week. So typically we do a picks show and a sleeper show. We go above 7,500 for our picks show. We've stayed away from 10,000 plus this week. So essentially, Adam and I both really like the whole field that is at 10,000 and above.
The entire field.
well, yeah, but especially those. I think it's about 7 guys up there. But so what we've done we've each got 3 guys coming for you. They're all between 10,000 and 7,500. Yep. We do our live show on Wednesday night, 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific. We're going to talk about all those guys there. So if you do want to hear us chat about, the John Rahms, the Dustin Johnsons, the Brysons, that's going to be Wednesday night, 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific.
Yeah, exactly. We like all those guys, but by Wednesday we might know for 40% Rahm, 20% DJ. But of course, any of those guys can win the Masters. That's who wins the Masters. So it's not you already know that. But let's get into some maybe second tier, mid-tier plays for you, Craig. Here, let's do it.
You're up first.
First up, coming off the missed cut, I'm going right back to Tony Finau, 9,100 on DraftKings. He's ranked 12th there on FanDuel, 10,700. He ranks 11th there. It's been a tale of two 2021s for Tony Finau. So the first 5 events of 2021, he had 4 top 5s and 0 missed cuts. Since then, in his last 4 events, he's had 2 missed cuts, 0 top 10s. He just missed at the Valero Texas Open, hitting only 25% of his fairways. His driving accuracy was horrible, and he missed the cut there. So
sorry, is this why you're he's a pick of yours, or
this is not a facial, this is a pick. So I think that will suppress his ownership. I think a little bit that will suppress his ownership. People won't go right back. They just got stung a little bit with Tony Finau. I'm going to go right back. He has an excellent history at Augusta National. He's gone T10. This is from his start: T10, T5, T38 in November. His strokes gained total in those through those 12 rounds is plus 2.16 average. That ranks 6th of everyone in the field. So, I mean, just compared to his DraftKings price, he plays his course really, really well. And I think something with the Masters, especially in April, you usually have to come off a good stretch of, major performances the year prior. So in his last 11 majors, I went a little bit further back than that. His last 11 majors, he plays hard courses and stacked fields really well. He has 7 top 10s in 11 majors. We've seen him be in the optimal lineup for these Millionaire Maker contests many, many, many times before. I think with the the price coming back a little bit for Tony Finau, maybe it's going to be a little bit different from the November Masters, a firmer, more fast. Maybe that suits Tony Finau, like he was 10th and 5th previously. I just like Tony Finau again. I think he can pop.
Now, do you have any concern that he has not sprained his ankle so far this week? Because, he had that tied for 10th when he sprained his ankle in the par 3 contest. There's no par 3 contest. He's not going to be jumping around after a hole-in-one. Does this concern you?
It's still only Monday. We've got a lot of week left. We could just do a little tweak and then come out and fire, a top 10. Yeah. I like it.
No, I like the Finau pick. I think it's a good contrarian play because there's going to be a lot of people that don't like him. And I also think, if I'm thinking right, he's right below sort of Spieth, Brooks, Patrick Reed. All those guys are going to attract a lot of ownership. So you might see Finau's number lower than it should be.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, my first one. I'm pushing the boundaries of what we've talked about here with the 10,000. I'm going with Patrick Cantlay, the first guy below that. He's 9,800 on DraftKings, 7th in pricing, 11,100 on FanDuel, 8th in pricing there. Do you want to know what the difference is? Brooks Koepka. FanDuel didn't have him in, and they snuck him in at the very high price that he probably belongs at. So that's an interesting one. But so Patrick Cantlay, I think oftentimes we kind of forget or we leave him out from this top tier of golfers, of elite golfers. Let's look at what he's done. Strokes gained total. These are data golf numbers. So they take all the different tours and blend them together using modifiers. But over the last 3 months, he's first in strokes gained total of players in this field. Over the last 6 months, he's second. Both those numbers are a healthy margin above 2 strokes gained per round. 12 months, he falls down to 7th. But when we look at 2 years, he's back up to 5th. He's gaining over 2 strokes a round over the past 2 years. So 5th in the field, that's an elite player to me. He's elite. Sure. He's consistent. You combine that with good form. So maybe a little bit the opposite of Finau, although he is coming off a miscut at the Players. Mm-hmm. Prior to that, his form was awesome. He had 6 straight top 20s. 3 of those 6 were top 3 finishes. It's just really, I think it's underrated how good of golf Patrick Cantlay's playing right now. You look at, so over the past 2 full years, one of the things I love about all my picks, they all have really good short games. And the thing I love about Cantlay here, he is at least positive 0.37 in each strokes gained category over the past 2 years. So he is super balanced. There's no weaknesses in the game. You don't need to, he's not one of these people we need to avoid a bad putter and hope he has a good week, or avoid a bad driver and hope he has a good week. He's good everywhere. He just needs to perform. So at the last 3 Masters, he does have 4 starts, but his first one was as an amateur, almost 10 years ago now.
And I think low-am, right?
I think he was low-am back then, so last 3 Masters, he was cut 9th and 17th. So I think he has a good feel for the course. I'm going to ignore the cut a bit. I think 9th and 17th are fairly reflective. I think 2020 in November, I think it did play a little bit easier. So it's nice to see his top 10 was when the conditions were probably closer to what we get this week. But love the Patrick Cantlay play this week.
Yeah, I think his top 10, his ninth was in 2019 when Tiger won. I think he had a momentary lead on Sunday. He got a couple of par fives under his belt and got a lead, but, people caught up to him. But still, I think a course that really does suit his game and a guy that has no weaknesses.
He's got all the tools.
He's got all the tools. It's in that funny price range for me. Like, is he your first one in or is he your second with, high-low type lineup? So that's where it gets a little bit tricky with me with Cantlay, but I love Cantlay. Pretty much every major, every big event, I'm going to find at least a lineup to put him in.
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
Next up, I'm going to Webb Simpson. He's 9,000 on DraftKings, 13th on FanDuel, 13th as well, 10,500. It's a guy I talked about on our preview podcast. If you want to check that out there, he was my pick to win at 40 to 1. So why do I like Webb Simpson? His form is very... Like Finau, he's in this price range where I feel like he might get a little bit overlooked, a little bit disrespected. I'm not throwing that disrespect stamp on him yet with the pricing, but I don't know. Maybe we'll see what happens to showdowns. But his 2020 form, it's not going to move the needle on his ownership at all. He's played 6 events. He hasn't played a lot. He has 2 top 6s. They're earlier in 2021. He does have that one missed cut at the Players. Again, a lot of the people missed the cut at the Players. He barely did. I'm going to give him a pass for that. He has talked about how he has a new approach to Augusta, how he's approaching the par fours, less aggressive, missing on the right side, using those mounds, all those things that you need to do to win here, and then score on the par fives. At least get a par on the par fours, score on the par fives. That's his new strategy he talked about in a post-round interview. So his lifetime strokes gained total is 1.2, which is, it's fine. But his last 12 rounds, so his last 3 years, he's up to plus 2.41. So he's been playing really well. A couple top 10s in his last couple Masters. Again, just like Finau, I'm looking at major performance because, it's a harder course. It's a faster course. It's that full field. How has he done in the last 11 majors? He has 4 top 10s, 8 top 20s, 8 top 20s and 11 starts, and no missed cuts. So very, very consistent. There's a little bit concerns. Does he have the distance, to really win? Does he have that kind of elite game to really win? I don't know. Winning here is a tall task, but I think he's a very good, top 10, top 5 upside play. He does, again, this is on our Grandstand Golf DFS model. The link is below. It's absolutely free. He does rank 3rd in the Grandstand Golf DFS model. So compared to his 13th pricing, I feel like he might be a little bit overlooked. His stats necessarily aren't kind of that bomber that people might be looking for. So he's just kind of a sneaky play with that upside.
Yeah. So the Grandstand Golf model, this... for the Masters, it really it likes everything. We spoke about this in the previous show, but everything is more predictive than it is at other courses. But approach play is huge. Putting is huge. Webb does both of those very well. So I think almost, I'm not going to say for sure, you'll have to tune in Wednesday, but I would say it's a pretty safe bet he's going to be in my player pool this week.
Okay.
Okay, my next one, I'm keeping it boring. We got Cantlay, we got Berger now. I'm going Daniel Berger, 8,500. He's 18th on DraftKings, 10,300 on FanDuel. He's 16th over there. So again, I'm just going to break down a little bit why I like him. It's a long-term consistency thing. With Berger, it's a little bit skewed because once we start to stretch back to 2 years, he did have the wrist injury that he was battling. But you look at 3 months, he's 3rd in strokes gained total, well over 2 strokes around. 6 months, he's 5th. 12 months, he's 5th. His form since the COVID restart has been awesome, which I'm going to get into in a second. But so then you look at the 2 years number. All of a sudden, it falls from like a healthy over 2 strokes gained around to 1.4 average. And that's because he was battling a lingering wrist injury for quite some time. He didn't even qualify for the Masters a couple years in a row there. So this is a little bit of a return to Augusta. But since the restart, he has 18 starts. This is not counting. I haven't included match play in this just because I do find it a little bit harder to sort of quantify the top 10s, top 20s, top 30s, all that kind of stuff. But 18 starts. He's got 16 top 35s. So, in all but 2 events since then, he has made the cut and then played his way in the top half of people that have made the cut. 11 top 20s and 5 top 3s. So 5 out of 18 times he's been in the top 3 since, June last year.
Yeah.
Now, at the Masters, he doesn't have, it's not a perfect history, but he was 10th here the first time he showed up. 2016 to 2018, he had 3 starts. He was 10th, 27th, and 37th. I think Daniel Berger is playing better golf than he was in any of those years. So yeah. I like him better than I did then. But we've seen that he can play the course. It does need to push up into that top 10 for it to be a value play as a DFS pick. But at 8,500, I just think there's so much potential upside there.
Yeah, I mean, we came out of the COVID break and he was on fire, and everyone was calling, like, Masters, like, give him an invite to the 2020 Masters. It's a shame that he won't be there. He's the best player to not play in the Masters. Like, he should be at the November Masters, and they didn't.
And essentially, if you don't know why, so what they did last year was it was people who had qualified as if it was going to be in April. So you had to either be a top 50 player in the world at that point or have won prior to when the April Masters would have been. He had a win in the first one back after COVID, and he quickly was back up in the top 50. So by November, it seemed silly, but yeah. So I think he'll have a little hunger.
Yeah, for sure. He will. And he might, it might be like a redemption thing. Like, he wants to kind of prove himself and, like, never miss an invite again. Get that green jacket, never miss an invite again. I find the 8K range, I haven't, dived really deep into it, but I find it the trickiest range so far, I think, just because, there's a few players that kind of range quite a bit. It's that awkward tier 2, tier 3 kind of area.
There's some sort of safer Berger type plays. There's some more like volatile high upside plays. It is an interesting range, I think.
Yeah, and so I don't know what I'm going to do with Daniel Berger. I mean, I love his kind of short-term form, but I'm not convinced Augusta's maybe the best fit for him, especially firm and fast. I'm not sure, but I guess, we'll find out Wednesday.
We'll have to find out. Well, we'll find out on Thursday, really. We'll find out what you did on Wednesday. But
yeah. Okay, my third and final pick, I am going Paul Casey, 7,700 on DraftKings, 26 there. That is a disrespect stamp. 26 ranked, that is crazy. He's 19th on FanDuel, 9,900. I was talking about in the show earlier about a chalky play. Casey's going to be a chalky play. I don't see any way around it that he's not, but I am going to talk about him anyways because I think he's a rock solid play. This is where I'm going to eat the chalk. So 2021 has been absolutely brilliant for him. He has 7 events. He has a win and 5 top 10s. He's playing so well. I'm going to skip to the bottom here. His ranks over the past 3 months. Again, this is from Data Golf because, he did have that win in the Omega Dubai Desert Classic. So that does include kind of the European Tour stats as well. So his ranks in the field over the past 3 months, this is all the form coming in. He ranks first stroke saving tee to green at plus 2.16, second stroke saving total 2.44, and fourth in approach, 1.29. The fourth in approach, I mean, I think that's the one I'm leaning on most because you need to be a good approach player at Augusta. You need to be in good form. You need to be hitting your irons or maybe hybrids for Webb. You need to be hitting those well into these greens. So he's been playing exceptionally well. And then his history at the Masters. So he has 14 events. He's been here quite a bit. He has 10 cuts made. He has 5 top 10s. And his stroke saving total over those 14 events, which is a huge sample size, is 1.34 average. So, he has missed some cuts. He has not the best performances, but he does have 5 top 10s in 14 events. They're scattered over the past couple of decades, but you just cannot ignore Paul Casey's form right now. I think I'm going to eat the chalk here. I think I'm going to have quite a bit of him. He just seems like he's so rock solid right now.
Yeah, I think likely I'm going to end up playing him. I would like to find reasons to get away from it because it is going to be a popular play, but ultimately I think I'm just going to try to play whether I'm underweight or overweight. I don't know, but I think I'm going to have a very hard time leaving him. He's just going to let you do so many things because of his salary that, I'm going to have a hard time leaving over my pool entirely.
And this is a very interesting range. You got like Sergio Garcia, Adam Scott, Jason Day. It's kind of this veteran range.
It's like, are you over 35 and have like a decorated history of golf?
Have you possibly won here? Have you not? Like, are you one of the best golfers of the past couple of decades? And of those 4, at least one of them's going to pop. Like probably a few.
Yeah. You just have to figure out which one it is.
Which one? Yeah, exactly.
Okay, my last one here. I'm continuing with my trend of maybe somewhat, maybe not the most exciting guys, but good putters, good short games. That's what I want to see at Augusta National. Matt Fitzpatrick. Don't call me Matthew Fitzpatrick. 8,100 on DraftKings. He's 22nd in pricing, 10,100 on FanDuel. He's 18th over there. So again, his stats to me, his strokes gains total stats over the past, however long you want to look at it, just screen value. So over the last 3 months, he's 7th in the field. He's gaining over 2. 6 months, 12 months, it's just over 1.5 in both of those. The 6 month, he falls the lowest he is. He's 18th, but that still is value to me. 12 months, he's up to 12th again. So it's back when we get to 2 years. So 2 full years, he's still value. He's 17th ranked in the field at 1.34 strokes gained. So to me, I like these guys that I just feel like they're value. They're value. So as long as I have enough value spread throughout my player pool, I feel like you run this experiment enough times, it's going to come out positive.
Yeah.
So what is the 7th strokes gained total over the past 3 months? What does that look like? So over his last 4 starts, he's been T11 or better in each start. That's awesome. That's a very consistent, very good form. That includes the players. Again, I kept out the match play just because it's hard to think about the match play. His best finish was 5th at Genesis. He actually fell off the pace a bit there. He could have, it looked like for a little while, he was very much in contention in that tournament. But this is
quickly. Genesis Riviera is usually one of the best course comps for Augusta National. Maybe not this year because the wind was kind of crazy and the weather, but it's still historically has been a good course.
It demands a lot from you in the same way that Augusta does. Yeah. So just real quick, hyping a Grandstand Golf model again. He's the number 1 value above 7.3 K, so above 7,300 on FanDuel. Can you guess who the number 1 value is at 7,300 or below? Or the one I had to keep him above? It was Will Zalatoris.
Zalatoris, of course.
It's a bit of a sample size thing with Will Zalatoris because he has a smaller sample size, but he's just so good. I'll get to him in our next video probably. But yeah, so the value on Fitzpatrick's awesome. He's a good putter. To me, the real question mark is going to come down to his approach play. When he's a very volatile. Sometimes he's awesome with his approach play, with his irons, his hitting into greens. Other times it doesn't really show up and he has to kind of make up for it. But what has he done at Augusta National? He's got a bit of a checkered Masters history. He missed cut the first time here, and then he was 7th in 2016, and since then, he's averaged 34th. Now, his worst finish since then was actually this past year. So I think that the heart of the course plays, the November 2020 Masters was soft and a little bit different from normal. I think the heart of the course plays, the more demanding it is of your short game, the better a Matt Fitzpatrick is going to do. So that's why I look at his history, and I'm like, I'm okay with this. I think there's the upside there. He was 7th here in 2016. He seems to be in good form. It's sort of hitting on all the notes I want it to hit on.
Yeah, I kind of feel like that meme, the guy looking over his shoulder, like here's Matt Fitzpatrick, like the obvious play for me, but I'm like looking, is that Sergio? Is that Paul Casey? Like, where are those ball strikers? Let me play one of those guys. But because he's so rock solid, and I really like your last point there. I do agree. The harder it will play, that's when I think Matt Fitzpatrick will possibly kind of elevate himself a little bit like Webb Simpson. The distance isn't a weapon. So, if he can get a little bit more rollout, help with the approaches a little bit and then kind of really make the money around the greens and putting.
Yeah.
So there you go. Okay. Well, we said at the start, please subscribe to our channel. It really does mean a lot. We want to get to that thousand subscriber mark for the Masters. Okay. What do we have going on this week? We have a ton of content out now already. We have our A to Z player breakdown. 2.5 hours where Craig and I talk about every single player in the field. If you want to know about Fred Couples, go to there.
Yeah, and you know what? It's a good thing that Charlie Hoffman didn't win this week. Otherwise, we would have had to reshoot the whole thing from scratch to squeeze Hoffman in there.
We did do our preview picks and podcast. That is out already. We do have a distance video out as well. Our PGA DFS model, we've teased it before. The link is below. That is live on our website. You can sort it. You can do all those kind of things there. Our sleepers show is coming soon. Other content. We want to ask you guys, what content do you want to see from us? We're talking about doing a tiers show. There's DraftKings tiers that seems interesting. Snake draft show, or maybe non-DFS. If you have an opinion, let us know below in the comments. And then, of course, like we do every week, we have our live show Wednesday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. We're going to talk through the whole player field using our model, talk about our percentages, where we ended up, our pivots, that kind of thing. And then during the tournament, live showdown shows Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern.
Yep. We love the live shows. We love interacting with you guys. We'll see you on those. Yeah, keep an eye out for the content. Let us know if you want anything specific below.
Yeah. See ya. Good luck.
Take care, guys.